It's a good question. I would say listen to as much music as you can. Stay as true to yourself as possible. Um, and vulnerability is key to all of creation, I think. If you want to create anything, you got to be as vulnerable as possible and share the most of you that you can.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Cause there's a certain type of pain I fell in love with. And I put in my whole heart and always kept back nothing. Cause no one falls in love with the idea of something the way I do.
All right, Stay Spiritual team, James and Justin here with a special guest. This is our first interview in a while. We have Alnev, who we recently did a music reaction with or to his music, his song Van Gogh. You can check that video out. But we have Alnev here with us, which is pretty cool. How's it going, Alnev?
I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is exciting.
Sure is. So, we've been listening to your music, and I think maybe a good place to begin with our viewers and stuff like that would be like, tell us a little bit about this musical journey that you've been on. How did you get into this?
Okay, yeah. I've been writing short stories since I was a kid. Short stories and poetry, that was like my favorite stuff to do in school. Even outside of school, I always enjoyed that. And at some point, I think I was about 15 or 16 when I started like trying to write songs. Probably 15. I started trying to write songs, and in the beginning, like everything is in the beginning, it was bad, and it took time to like hone it and figure it out. But I always just like when it came to English and writing, I always had like a love for writing. So I started songwriting at like 15 or 16, and then with instruments, I like everything I do, I taught myself. All my writing, all my playing, everything I do, I taught myself. I play guitar, I play piano, and piano I started doing when I was like 12, on and off, learning from YouTube. And then when I was 15 and I started writing songs, I started taking piano a little bit more seriously, and I would like play a lot more piano, do a lot more songwriting, and then that's where like things started. And since then, I've written I think over 130 songs, and yeah, it's been a couple of years. I'm 21 now, so it's been like 6 years since I started. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, all that work has really paid off, man. Like, you definitely have some bangers. I think my favorite is Drugs. Same here.
Okay.
That's
Same
real.
here.
I put that on repeat on the way here. Really good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, like the musical instrument thing, did you have someone in your house also who had musical instruments laying around? Like, how did you start getting into playing all this stuff?
So in my parents' house, we had like a really crappy keyboard that was just like maybe $100, like from 1995 or something, and it was just laying around in the house. So that's where I kind of started. And then yeah, most like everything I wrote in the beginning was on like either that crappy keyboard or someone else's like crap keyboard. Like I never really had a piano to actually like learn on. But I learned on like the bad instruments, and now I can play the good ones, so it's cool. Yeah.
That's all right. And then so I guess you're just like, Mom, Dad, I want this for Christmas. I want a guitar. I want this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely like all the learning I've done has been like almost all me. Like just like no support from other people who are like, "Yo, you really got to get into this." It was just like I really love doing it, and I put the time in, and I just spent a lot of time on playing piano. And like even now, I wouldn't say I'm like an insane pianist or an insane like guitarist, but I can do a lot of things that I'm good at because I've just practiced them, you know.
Well, you
Um,
you, you seem like a definitely an insanely good artist altogether, and you seem to enjoy it. I saw some footage of you performing in front of people. That looks like a lot of fun
yeah, I'll
when you
do
do
that.
that. Yeah. Are you doing a lot of that these days? Like performing in front? Like, is it hard to get? Like, do you have a band now? Because obviously there were people playing with you.
Okay, so I've had a couple shows. Um, I started off with like open mics, which I did in school. So when I was basically the kind of the origin story of my music started when I was like around 15, 16, and that's where I went to this new school in Pennsylvania called Wilkes-Barre. I mean, the city's Wilkes-Barre, but it's a school there that was like a Jewish alternative school for kids who kind of didn't fit the box exactly in the mainstream schools. So just filled with a ton of creative kids, and that's where I started. That's where I started like making music, and we would play like my first like performances started there with open mics. We would have like every couple of weeks an open mic night, and kids would come up and like either do something crazy or actually like be talented, and it was a really good time. So that's where I started, and since then I've done shows. Um, I haven't had my first headline venue show, but I've had like headline shows that were like small or like stuff I've done in New York in someone's house. My own headline show, we had like 120 people in 2021. That was in New York. Um, and I've done some openings, which are really great with my friends. So with a band, like generally I've done work myself. I've done acoustic shows. It's me playing maybe with a friend doing one more instrument, but working with a band, I have like minimal experience with that. This last this last December was the first time I had like it was me, a bassist, a real drummer, and we had tracks in the background. And yeah, that's the funnest thing ever to just like to sing live for people, and when they know the words and they're like screaming along and you just like you see people who actually care about what you do and know what you do. It's just like the nicest feeling ever.
I noticed that in one of your videos on YouTube when all the people started singing your song with you.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a kick-ass rush.
Yeah, top two feelings of all time for sure.
Yeah. So right now, like when it comes to like getting all these gigs and stuff, are you doing everything? Is this your full-time like job now? Is this
So at the moment it is. I was a barista for about like 2.5 years, which helped with bills and stuff. But in the last couple of months, I've kind of just put more focus into it, made it more full time, as many hours as I can get into it. So yeah, I guess yeah, right now it's a full time job. I just had a gig in Florida. I was flown down for this event. They wanted to like bring some creatives, and it's like people who are Jewish. They want to have like a Jewish art scene, so they like flew me down, and I performed, and that was really cool. That was just last week. Um, yeah, it's a good time. So it's moving. So that's the cool part.
So you've mentioned a bit of kind of like the Jewish heritage aspect there. I can see what you're wearing a yarmulke, right?
Yeah.
Now, how like I've only heard probably I guess 5 or 6 of your songs. Do you find like any of the inspiration of your music comes from your faith?
Um, I feel like it connects to it, but in general, so in my like sect of Judaism, so there's Judaism, then there's like all the different sects that come from it, and like there's different just so many different types of Jews. So in my sect of Judaism, a lot of the people who make music are very, very focused on the religious aspect of music, and it's really like a little bit more preachy, focused on like God, God, God. And with my stuff, it was more like the thing that I'm trying to bring is like emotions and experiences and sharing like me and my vulnerability. And like I feel like that's what I've been trying to bring. So in general, I'm not focused so much on the faith aspect, although sometimes it'll come in for a second or I'll like mention it or it'll be a part of it. But
Cool.
it's a big part of my life, but it's not a big I don't know if it's such a huge creative source for me necessarily. Like in terms of actual lyrics, you can't find me going like Judaism, you know.
Yeah,
Or like,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff. There's some stuff hidden also. There's like I'm very into like cryptic stuff, like hiding things and saying things, and it could be taken a lot of different ways, which I feel like you guys noticed in the breakdown.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mentioned things that if someone was Jewish or someone grew up in the same way I did, they would like be like, oh, that's familiar. I know what that is, you know.
Smart. Yeah. What's the story with the bunny?
The story with the bunny. Um, so I think it was my 16th birthday when I was in that school. One of my mentors there, he just got me that like it's like a bunny slash bear, and I named him Elliot, and he's literally in my bed over there. Like he's in my bed every night. It's cool. He's just a cute little thing to cuddle with or just have.
He's like a little mascot for you.
Yeah, a little bit. So for the show, I'm assuming you're talking about the show this last year in December.
Yeah.
I had him like strapped to my pants
Yeah.
because I had an outfit set up, and I was wearing the outfit. I looked in the mirror. I was like, this is cool and it's fine, but like, what can I do to like make this like give it an upgrade? And I just saw my bunny slash bear hybrid on the bed. I was like, you know what? Can I get this somehow in there? So I just like chained him to my pants, and I was like, this is perfect. I liked it. It
Oh,
was
it
good.
works. Yeah. Well,
Thanks.
yep. The other thing I was gonna say is your voice is like really unique, and in your Van Gogh song, it sounds like you're making your voice sound like a violin, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Which is really cool and unique and awesome. Everybody should go check it out. But what are your influences? Like, how did we already cover that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Who influenced you?
Okay, so thank you for saying that because I'm really glad you noticed that. I think my spirit instrument is like a cello or a violin. Like hearing a cello or a violin just like completely speaks directly to my soul more than any other instrument would.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like, yeah, vocally, I have like some attributes of a violin or a cello, and like I have a deep voice, and I also like have found a way to use my vibrato that kind of is like a violin. It's not exactly like a violin, but it's enough like a violin that people are like, is that a, like they can notice
Yeah.
it in that way.
Yeah.
In terms of vocal influences, I think Frank Sinatra is a huge like he's like number one for me.
Mm.
Frank Sinatra is incredible. I listen to his music all the time. Um, and his voice is also like all of his songs are songs that I can sing along to because he sings like lower, and even when he goes high, like I feel like I can do the same thing.
Yeah.
And Sinatra's a huge inspiration for me. Also, Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco, which no longer exists. His
Oh,
voice,
I didn't know that.
yeah, his voice is like, in my opinion, one of the best voices of our generation. And listening to his music and like all of their albums, I know like all of them by heart. I'm a huge Panic fan, and there's his voice is insane, and that kind of also inspired like how I sing. I think those are my two main like vocal influences.
Yeah, that's pretty eclectic. Those are pretty different things,
Yeah.
Cool.
I was wondering in the construction process of your music. I know everyone's different when it comes to writing music, but like, do you start with music, then incorporate lyrics, or do you do it all at the same time, or the opposite? How does it all come together?
Okay.
And
So
is
every
your
time,
and is your sorry and is your home your production studio? Is it-
okay. So I'll answer all that. So first of all, every time it's different. Um,
okay.
it's like I could probably like find out if I think about every song and try to figure out how it started. But in general, it's a different process every time. Sometimes I'll be on the piano and I'll find some chords and I'm like, oh, I have a melody in my head, or I have lyrics in my head, or I'll have some lyrics written down, or a sentence will pop into my head, or a melody. I'll be brushing my teeth and a melody will come to my head. I'm like, oh, here's a melody. And a lot of those things get thrown out. Like most of the things are thrown out. It's really like the couple of things that I'm like, okay, what is this? And then I sit with it and I hone it and I spend like sometimes 30 minutes and sometimes it's like a day just like trying to figure out what it is and creating a song out of it. So it's different every time, really. Like sometimes it's the instrument, sometimes it's the vocal, sometimes it's the melody, lyric. It's just different every time. And then to answer your question about is my like home, my studio. So I have a bit of a setup in my room. I have monitors. I have like an okay mic. I have stuff in my room, but that's kind of because I want to learn how to produce. But in terms of all the songs that are out right now, they're all produced with my friends in their studios, but also home studio. So it's my friends in their bedrooms or in their apartments. They have either a room or it's even their bedroom, and they have their setup, a little bit of better equipment. They understand production a little bit better. I mean, a lot better because they make amazing things. Just to
Yeah.
shout them out, my friend Shlomo and Yosef, like they're the ones I work with who like have created like all the songs that are out now, basically. Yeah.
Wow. I noticed in some of the videos it looked like you were living in like a city setting. You live in a city, I take it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I live in Brooklyn.
So that's got to be like, do you have like neighbors that are like, cut it up, cut it with the racket, like
They're like, turn it up.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, like usually, like the neighbors probably can hear, but they've never really made any comments. I try not to like do stuff too late at night, and if I do, I just like hope they won't say anything. But usually no, like so far no one has said anything.
Yeah.
My landlord once, I was like writing a song at 3 a.m. and he texted me. He was like, "Who was playing guitar at 3 a.m.?" I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah,
Well, you know what? It seems like you're at like a great age. 21 seems like a good age to like shoot for the stars. Like if you're ever in a place where you can like
put it out all on the table. It seems like you're in a
Yeah, I hope that your music goes everywhere because I think you're like ridiculously talented. You seem to have all the ingredients for somebody to obviously have a wicked career doing it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna put like a bunch of links in here.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. The goal is shoot for the moon and the stars and the sun and whatever I can get, you know.
Yeah.
I really want my music to be spread worldwide. I want to be famous. Like it's something I think would be great. Partly because I love attention and also because I think I could help the world and I think my music could be powerful and help people. And that's kind of that's
One
like
of the ingredients to a good performer is like, and you said it, you know, you're willing to speak it out into the universe, and there you go. You know, I totally get that. Yeah.
Do you find it a challenge trying to like get gigs and stuff like that and get your content out there? Is it like, is there a struggle, or have you found it like growing exponentially for you?
No, there's definitely a struggle. It's not easy all the time. The things that are easy for me are songwriting, like sitting down and writing a song. That's usually easy. Performing, super easy. Like I really enjoy it. Then like content creation is more. That's where my challenge is. Like I don't love sitting around and making TikToks all day, which like now is really to succeed in this business. That's what you need to do. It's like that's where a lot of growth comes from. So trying to do that definitely is a bit draining, and I'm trying to find a balance with it to make it more enjoyable and find a way to like be myself and also enjoy it and also make content consistently, which is like a hard balance to make. So making content is difficult. Also, like since I'm not a signed artist, I don't have like a whole team of people around me supporting me, like pushing me, throwing me places. Like everything I do is either done myself or with my producers, or like Shlomo is kind of like in a sense, he's my producer and he's also a musical partner because all decisions I make, I talk to him first. He's very like knowledgeable and like I trust him and he's an awesome person. So we kind of like I have a sort of team of advisors and people who help me out, but there's not like a record label throwing money at me. So like all the money, it's self-funded, it's self-run.
Yeah. So
it's
imagine what you could do. Imagine what you could do when that day comes where you get the record producer.
Yeah, well, there's got it like I'm thinking of someone like Tom McDonald, right? He's a very popular independent artist that kind of like did everything himself.
Yeah,
to kind of like make himself, and I think he's happier almost. But I guess you take what you can get. If someone threw a ton of money at you,
but he does
like,
the same thing. He makes these little skits on TikTok and stuff. Like I've got a TikTok account, and I'll get a bunch of likes and I'm like, ooh, and then I go to look at who liked it and it's all like, hey baby, give me like I get a ton of that.
That's so funny.
I don't know if I'm a target or something, but anyway, besides the point. But yeah, Tom McDonald, he is a good example for somebody who like produces his own videos, and he's makes a bunch of TikToks and stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends who are signed to record labels. I have friends who like who have that experience, and there's definitely pros and cons to that too. Like you can have a lot of money, but also when a label controls everything you do, they can decide whether or not you release a song. Like you have all the resources to make songs, but they control the resources, they control what you do with it. They take most of the money. So it's kind of like it's the goal for me at this point is to kind of build as much as I can on my own, build a fan base on my own, like make it profitable, and then at that point when record labels are looking at me and they're going, how do we get this guy, then I have the leverage, and I'm like, okay, well, if you want to work with me, here's the deal we have to make, instead of being like begging for their attention and then me like chasing them and then they give me a bad deal. I'd rather like build the leverage on my own before even considering that. That's the goal. At least that's what I've been thinking about.
But seriously, you seem like you'd be a catch for somebody who's like scouting an up and coming talent, because you do have amazing lyrics, which to me is kind of like the most important part, and you have the musical skills, and you are like seem to love performing. You know what I mean? You saw the footage of you performing in front of people, and it seems really natural. You seem super charismatic. So
and it sounds like you also have a giant catalog. Like that's got to be like something good to work off of.
That's true. That's the hard part, because without like a ton of money backing me, making songs takes a longer time, and I'm working with friends mainly, so it's not like I can just throw out an album and I don't have a ton of songs sitting on the back burner that are ready waiting to go. It's more like I got to start producing a bunch of the songs because there's 130 or so, and every month they grow. So it's like I'm always playing catch up with all the past ones.
But
Yeah.
with what you have, you do crazy things, because I've seen videos where it's like just you and a guitar, or just you and like a little keyboard, and it's like it's really good for what it is. And then you can also see you doing the performances, and like I said, I'm like this guy gonna be something. Yeah.
I hope so. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. I mean, it's what I want, and I don't
I
think
hope
I'm
so
gonna stop till
too.
I get it.
It's awesome. Well, for other artists out there, maybe they want to know this. In terms of your use of social media and stuff, which one gets you the best pull? Which one works best for you?
I think Instagram. I have the healthiest relationship, I think, with Instagram. Um, just like I have a lot of friends who have like an addiction to it. They need to be on it all the time. Like I kind of treat Instagram more like it's business. I need a post. I enjoy posting stories. I enjoy responding to DMs. Like speaking with people who enjoy my music is the best thing ever because they like something I do, so I can talk to them about it. Um, Speaking with fans, going live on Instagram, I think Instagram is the place that I've found most enjoyable. TikTok is a little rougher. It's draining. They know the For You page knows you so well. Like they know exactly what to give you and exactly how much dopamine you're getting from it each time.
It's
Everything.
creepy.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
true.
amazing in the sense that they know you, but it's like I don't think like that's an app I want to be on all the time. Although I end up being on it too often because of how it's built. That's the goal of it is to make you stay on there.
I hear you. I find Instagram so inspiring with the way some artists set up their pages that I get overwhelmed. Like I'm like, holy, because I do some art stuff too, right? And so I'm like following people like crazy because so many artists. It's such a great platform for that, and people have their pages organized so well, like where you can purchase their stuff and everything right on there. So
Yeah.
I think Instagram's got to be one of the best ones for an artist getting themselves out there.
Yeah.
Being new on this journey, what has been kind of like the biggest obstacle for you? What do you find like the hardest part about doing this?
Okay. Probably probably getting over myself and the limitations that I've set on myself. Like I feel like a lot of times like even though I work like I try to make this my full time and put as much energy into it, there's times where I'm just like I just want to break and I just kind of like start avoiding it and I avoid doing the stuff I'm supposed to do or the stuff that not even supposed to do, the stuff I really want to do because I really want this. And sometimes it's hard to like I have to remember like this is actually what I want and I have to like make the steps to get there because the steps are not easy and putting the time in and being consistent and working your butt off for it it's not easy. But so I think like I'm probably the biggest obstacle in the sense that I don't listen to myself sometimes. I don't listen to what I actually want and I just avoid it and I'm just like, come on.
I totally get that. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's so funny. It's like kind of unrelated, but I was watching that show Alone. You heard of that one where they get the people to fend for themselves out in nature?
Okay.
And it'll relate. Just give me a sec. The biggest thing that gets them is they're themselves. You know what I mean? It's like I really get what you're saying in terms of like the having yourself as the biggest thing that's got to be overcome is your own self-imposed limitations and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Your procrastination, your own and sometimes even worrying. I don't know if you worry about this stuff, but like we're content creators too, obviously, but like we worry about, how something's going to be when I like put it out. Do you ever worry about a song? Like you get a song ready and then it's like,
Yeah, absolutely. I worry about a lot of things. I mean, the more audience you have, the more expectations there are of you, and the more like I feel like something I'm trying to learn is my songwriting has changed the more I've written, but also the more I've released and the more I've shown people my music. Like sometimes you can get lost in that when you're writing. You're like, oh, what are people going to think of this? And it's like awesome. Like I don't want that to be at all a motivator. Like I kind of want to have art be the source and the calling, and not have expectations and what people will think be like. I don't know. It feels like wrong to give into that. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge because the more you put out, the more like people expect this from you, and they expect you to do the thing you've always done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in the midst of all the chaos and when you have to like overcome yourself, what do you find is like the best thing to keep you grounded?
What's the best thing to keep me grounded? I don't even think I know. Am I even grounded? I feel like
Man, he ain't trying to be grounded. He's trying to ascend you.
I think sticking to a schedule has been something that I've noticed when I do it, I feel really good and I like actually accomplish goals. The more I'm scheduled, the more like I think I'm one of those people that work that way. The more I have, if I like set up a schedule and I follow it, I'll feel really good. Um, but sometimes it's like you set it up and then you ignore it, or you don't set it up and then you're like you just waste your day, you know? So I think that's something that keeps me grounded for sure, setting up a schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you guys? What
You
keeps
know
you
what?
guys?
I think totally like what you're talking about, having good habits is I'm always at my worst when I get out of my healthy habits. That's
Binge eating. I just binge eat myself into a coma.
I feel like I always have like I need to have a goal. I need to have something that I'm reaching for, and if I don't have a goal that I'm doing, then I don't know. I tend to just I backslide into laziness and like having something set out.
Trusting, just kind of trusting the process and trusting the universe, I guess, and to some degree that I'm gonna have the wisdom as I go along to know what to do. As all you can do is sometimes all you can do is act and then learn as you go along.
Yeah.
I find, maybe that's reckless, but that's my style.
No, it's good to hear that. Thanks for saying that. Like I think I need advice on this too, so it's good to hear your guys' opinions and perspective on it.
Yeah, we're happy with how things are going with this and finding like gems like this, man. I had to like calm down before we started. I was so like excited. I was like, I love doing this kind of thing.
But it's nice, I like I like the fact that you reached out to us.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I was going to ask you, like, what the heck made you get in contact with us?
Yeah.
I came across your channel and I saw you guys reviewed someone else's song. I think it was either a Conan Gray song or a Louis Capaldi song. I don't remember which one. But maybe I don't remember exactly.
The Conan Gray sounds. I think it was that one. That sounds.
Remember.
Yeah, we've done so many now. I think we're like, in terms of music reviews.
I just came across a review and I was like, this is really cool. I love what you guys are doing. And I was like, just in case there's a chance that you'll respond, I'll reach out. For me, I found that cold emails and cold DMs, cold messages, it's always worth it because the worst case scenario, they don't respond. And best case scenario, they respond and you can build a relationship with someone that you think is cool. So
yeah, that's true. And I'd say, if you want advice, keep that up because we've landed interviews on here were way out of our dimension. We were like, well, I can't believe that person said yes.
Oh yeah, it literally changed the show. One of the guests that we had lined up got on and was like, I'm gonna give you guys some advice, and then it like.
Yeah, they were like, we can do the interview with you, or we can tell you everything you need to fix.
Yeah,
and we were like, okay, we'll go with everything we need to fix.
Yeah,
good call.
So it's totally worth it to reach out. What could it hurt?
Yeah,
unless your partner alters the mass email you're sending out, and then you send it out screwed up, which is what we did.
Wait, what was the mistake? Like, what happened?
Oh God! Well, I won't go into the details because it's pretty bad. But he had a mass email to send out to or not a mass email.
It was just an email that I send to people when I'm asking them for.
And
requests.
so I changed some of the words in it
to make me look like an idiot.
Yeah, and so he forgot one of the words and he sent it out to. He was like, "I sent this to my heroes." Like, yeah. But
that's so funny.
It ended up working out. We ended up getting interviews still. So
okay, sick.
But, yeah. So what do you got planned moving forward? Like, what's you got any concerts coming up or like what's going on?
So there's stuff in the works. I can't talk about a lot of it because I feel like I like being secretive and hiding it is sometimes it just works out better. And also when I tell people what I'm planning and then it doesn't work out, then there's like expectations that kind of get so I kind of like leave expectations zero, like you don't know what's coming, and then when it shows up, you're like, oh, that's cool, you know. There's definitely stuff's in the works, there's stuff in the works in terms of a live show, like a headline venue show that's we've been talking to people about that and figuring out when the right time is for that. Also, more music is on the way. Like there's, I mean, what I will say is that the last 3 years, I've kind of spent a lot of time and devotion with these people who I've been working with and creating something that I think is beautiful and as perfect as we can make it with our resources. And I'm really proud of it, and I'm excited for whatever it is to be like released and revealed to people. And that'll be soon. I can't say when, but it'll be soon. It'll be exciting.
Keep it cool and mysterious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where could, if I wanted to like purchase your music, is there anywhere for me to actually buy it?
Yeah, so iTunes, you can pay for music on iTunes. I think Amazon Music, there's also like a way to like pay for music on Amazon. I think in the future we'll do stuff like vinyl and CDs and like just like collectible items. I know no one listens to CDs anymore. I personally listen to vinyl. I have like a vinyl collection.
Just got one for
But
Christmas. Now I
it.
know what then my next gift can be.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think in the future we'll have that. But at this rate, like with just like I only have singles out. So at this point, it wouldn't make sense to put resources into that. But that's definitely in the future. I'm excited for that.
Wow.
Yeah. In terms of like making income off of like music and stuff like that, the industry like since especially since we were kids has completely changed.
Yeah.
So like what now is the like is it shows? Is that where all the money is now in making shows?
Yeah. So the most of the money, I'd say like the money comes from a bunch of places. I'd say in part the place people think the most money comes from, but it actually doesn't, is streaming. Streaming is like very, very little per stream. You get less than a penny per stream. Um, yeah, it's the numbers are not good, but like when you have a million streams, depending on the time and whatever, like officially a million streams is $4,000. So it's not easy to get a million streams, but like that's kind of what it roughly would translate to. Don't quote me on that, but I think like from what I've been told, it's usually around that amount. Um, and I think most of the money comes from shows, being hired for gigs, like, ticket sales, merch sales. That's huge. Like making clothing and people buying it.
Seems like it's kind of a yin yang thing these days. It's maybe a little easier to get exposure, but a little tougher to get that money ball going, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
Because before, wasn't it like if you got a CD, it was like you're in now. If you got a CD, like that was sold in a music store, now I guess it seems like you got to have your hand in everything now.
Yeah, there's a lot of advantages to it, but there's also definitely a lot of disadvantages. Money is definitely harder to get, but you can get more exposure, you can get more people. It's easier for people to find you nowadays. So we kind of traded the money for exposure. But I think the goal for me is both. So,
Yeah. And there's so many artists out there now too. Like before, like when I grew up, it was what you heard on the radio. That was it. And now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But there's positives and probably negatives to that too, right? Now we get we get to see people like you, so like which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Before it would have been so hard. You'd have to wait for someone to pick you out of a crowd.
Yeah. You can really stay in touch with the person that the music you're obsessed with at the time. You can communicate with them even through their social media. It's pretty crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Any collabs that you would like, if you, other than Panic at the Disco, collaborating on their comeback? Anybody that you think would be a cool person to like collaborate with?
I think like I have a bucket list of people to collaborate with. Julia Michaels, I think, is at the top in terms of songwriting. I've been obsessed with her songwriting since I was like 14, 15. Like the goal is to write a song with her. It's going to happen. I'm excited for it, so that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Panic at the Disco would be sick. I mean, if it ever comes back, that'd be great. But yeah, I think Julia Michaels is definitely the number one.
Yeah, awesome.
Being kind of like young and writing about what inspires you and stuff like that,
When you write like, do your songs, when you write them, come from like direct, straight experience?
So
Or, yeah?
it depends. It depends. In general, like I think overall, most of songs are real life experiences. It could be written in a different way. It could be written in a way that's hard to understand. But overall, most of my music is like based on a real experience. There's some times where it'll be on a story. So it'll be like I have a song about Romeo and Juliet, and I kind of crafted a whole story around it, and I connect to it. And there's definitely some parts of it that are about me or connect to me, but it's like focused more on the story. But overall, it really depends on the song, but in general, I write about personal experiences in some way, even if it's cryptic or it's hard to understand. I definitely write about personal experiences, um, and yeah, or stories sometimes. And sometimes, like, there's a few cases where I've written about other people's experiences. So, like,
Mm.
a friend told me something that happened to them, and I'm like, okay, like, hey, I wrote a song for you about your experience, which is like pretty rare, but you know,
People love that. People love when you write songs about them. But
yeah.
I get the sense that your soul really comes through, man. Like even some of the like unplugged versions that you do little shorts about, like I'm like, yeah, your soul comes through in the songs. So
Thanks.
I would have figured that they came from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
like a big part of what I'm trying to do is like show people that feelings are okay, and like if
yeah,
like vulnerability and expressing your feelings is incredibly powerful and important. And yeah, also for people to feel like they're not alone in their experiences. Like I don't want people like a lot of people think that they're alone. I spent a lot of my life feeling like I was alone in certain experiences, and then you share them, and then someone's like, oh my God, you just said what I think, but in your words, and you just unlocked what I feel, and you just said that for me. It's like the crazy. That's one of the top
connection.
two feelings. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the top two
and
feelings when it comes to like making music is one, it's hard to choose between them, but one of them is when people are singing along to your lyrics at a show, like the craziest thing ever, like it's so nice. And the second thing is when people let you know that you help them feel understood and help them feel like directly seen by writing something that you experience, and it felt like it was about them. Like that's the coolest thing ever, you know?
yes, yeah, and I think that's so important what you said about letting people know that it's okay to feel things because it feels like we came out of a dark age where it was like, if you're a man, you don't have feelings. We like came out of that, and now there's like this temptation for people at this point in history to like go back into some kind of suppressive mode, and I think it's going to be important that artists like yourself continue to advocate for no, let's not lose touch with our humanity and how we actually feel about things and feelings
Yeah.
in general. That it is human to feel, you know.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
one it's like one of the most important parts of being human. Like I don't like
yeah,
I feel like denying how we feel is like it's just stupid. It's like what are you if you don't feel? You're
yeah.
definitely not
Yeah.
human.
Let me
Or
ask
you're not.
ChatGPT. I was just write me a song. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, good for you.
Your style of music, like what do you call it? What do like I don't know what to like category to put you in.
Yeah, that's one of the hard parts is like I don't even know what category to put myself in because I've been influenced by a ton of music. I've listened to as many genres as I can find. Even if I don't love them, I can appreciate parts about them. Um, I like when I was 16, I started a process of like trying to gain an appreciation for every single genre. So I like went into everything, country and hip hop and rap and like jazz and blues and rock and roll and classic rock, like every as much as I could get a hold of. So I think everything I make is like a mix of everything I found. But if I had to put a name on it, like something like alternative pop, because pop is like a big in terms of structure in general, I'm writing with pop structure, but I it's alternative because I'm pulling from a lot of different places. So I would say like it's alternative pop. Uh, there's other names, and each song is different. Like each song is like crazy different. You know, like Drugs, Van Gogh, Rip.
Yeah.
They're all completely different spaces,
Yeah.
but they're all me, so it's cool.
Yeah, and and even if they are different, they do have that. You can tell it's all the same artist, and it's cohesive. Yeah.
Sick.
I have one last big question for you. Where
Okay.
do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Good question. um, where do I see myself? Very famous, very famous.
That's what I like to hear.
Living in LA. I mean, in 10 years, that's far. That's really far. But yeah, I mean, a worldwide phenomenon, uh, helping as many people as I can, sharing as much music as I can. Uh, yeah, like I guess famous. Also, I mean, living in LA is something that I'm planning to move there in a couple of months, hopefully, if it works
Oh,
out.
wow.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll be living in LA. Who knows? Maybe I'll be married in 10 years. I could be married by then. I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah, that's
like,
kind of a tough one to answer, but I like your answer. Yeah, I like the confidence, and I like the big. I love big dreams. I love when people dream big.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Go for it.
well, you're not. I don't like. Who's gonna get big if they don't dream big? You know.
Yes.
If you don't believe you
Yes.
can make it big, then no one's
Yeah,
gonna throw it at you.
There's
you know?
plenty of people that aren't willing to aren't even willing to entertain such ideas. So good for you. What about I don't know. What about Austin, Texas? Sometimes I get the sense that that's its own little growing hub of culture right now.
I've heard a little bit about Austin. I've never been to Texas.
Yeah.
My best friend lives in Dallas, so I might go and visit sometime. But Texas it's pretty far apart. Everything's far from each other. So, you can't like go city hopping with the main cities really.
Yeah.
So I've never been there, but it'd be cool to visit. Maybe on tour I'll probably hit that spot too. So that'll be fun.
Wow. You know what? I said last question, but I actually have another question for you. I want to
Keep going.
for new up and coming artists like yourself. What type of advice would you give for them?
It's a good question. I would say listen to as much music as you can. Stay as true to yourself as possible. And vulnerability is key to all of creation, I think. If you want to create anything, you got to be as vulnerable as possible and share the most of you that you can.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
So wise for a 21-year-old. Holy smokes. You're on your way.
Thanks.
That's good. All right. Well, is there any, tell our audience where they can find you, where they can get your stuff?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on social media or anywhere that you stream music. Artist name is Alnev, Alnev. There'll probably be a link in the bottom of this video where you can find me. Social media is Alnev or Alnev Music on TikTok, but Instagram and Twitter, it's Alnev, and Threads, the new social media. You can find me there too. Yeah.
And if you are going to have, I know you don't want to disclose live shows and stuff, but if you were going to have a live show, where would they find that? How would they know?
I would say you could find, in terms of live shows, keep an eye on my Instagram. That's usually where I'm that's where most of the updates come from. That's where I spend most of my time as an artist on Instagram. That's where that's where you'll find out about shows.
Great. Beautiful. Well, Alnev, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. And we hope
Thank you guys for having me.
Goes, hey, no problem. We'd love it. I hope everything goes fantastic for you, that you reach all your dreams that you got set. But I guess we'll end it here, guys, and we'll see you around.
Some people are drawn